Alright, buckle up. Here we go. We've got a flashback to 1993. It's called the demo, the demo scene. They would release the software programmed in assembly language. All of what you're going to see in here is programmed by developers in the application itself. It's not like static screenshots or recorded video and audio. It's all synthesized, etc. in real time. It's the only way they could actually distribute it on floppy disks. This one was probably 2 or 3 floppy disks at the time. We'll skip through a little bit of it. To some level. Every one of these little pixels was programmed using modern toolkits, that's for sure. And it was usually a team effort, so they might have a dozen different people working on different parts of it, different scenes and things like that. That'd be the team name or the feature name. We should say this is a time where 640 by 480 was the screen resolution size, so a VGA monitor. So a bunch of these are vector graphics, so they look stair-steppy and choppy. But it's not because of the program, it's because actual displays that they were able to run on. It was nice because of the mixture of really cool electronic music, visual art, things like that. I'll skip forward to a couple other scenes here. For example, color mixing. These are usually, I think these are 8-bit colors, so I'm not sure exactly what combination of colors there were available to them at the time, but it was always a resource constraint. Then you get into items like this where there's like particle animation. Each of these points has to be tracked and programmed to draw this way. And then you get into things like even things that aren't necessarily like really, they're static, but this isn't actually a static scene because they got an animation coming through it. But the reflections and reflections of reflections was pretty cool at the time, because there's actually processing and programming required to make it work. Nowadays you can just get a 3D model and throw it in a 3D rendering system and get that stuff for free almost. And then another popular one is the landscape generator. That was always kind of a type that every demo team wanted to show off their skill set for. And then, of course, there'd be some kind of little vignette at the beginning or end showing off the team name. This one reminded me of the Star Fox game. Anyway, the 3D objects were all programmed too, right? Like they're not like drawn in some app and then saved in a video file. These are like way more sophisticated. Anyway, developers will know what I mean. But if you wanted graphics, you had to kind of really do it yourself. And then they go on and on with their credits and give their whole team props for all their work. So let me just show you the. If you want to see more, there's a playlist hosted by Overdose of the demo scene, and they've got about 117 different demos from different time periods from the 90s and early 2000s. Some are better than others. I played this one specifically because it was at the top of the list, but also it was the one I was looking for because this was in first or second year university for me. So that is the demo scene. Let's turn these off, and we'll go over to start to maybe wrap up a little bit on our scouting theme here. Let me just get this down. Last video we looked at through the scouting manual and a few of the interesting features there. Today we're gonna not talking about knots, but we're talking about campsites. So this video here is actually what they call the model campsite, or the what they call it, patrol camp, the model patrol camp. So it just goes over really roughly the basic layout of a campsite.
Okay. Hey guys, so we've got a setup here for the 3-pot method or 3-bucket method for washing dishes. We've got our hot water for washing down here. So your soap goes in the wash bucket.
So a lot of times people think, oh, Boy Scouts, they're just off fooling around. But you know, the domestic requirements here were just as real for boys as they were for girls. So, you know, how to wash dishes and how to get it done fast and efficiently was just taking care of waste and things like that. You'll see are just par for the course. Great skills to learn and great to exercise in a team atmosphere.
We've got our rinse bucket here, which is going to be warm water, not quite as hot as this, just warm. And then we've got our sanitizing bucket down here with our sanitizing tabs, or you can use bleach. And this is going to be your cold water to sanitize your dishes. So you'll scrub them, rinse them, and then leave them in here for about 30 seconds or so to sanitize them, and then set them up here on either end to air dry. You don't want to use towels or paper towels because more trash.
More trash. That's
leave
right.
no trace.
We're trying to leave no trace. Are you trying to leave no trace? All right, what's next?
What's next? Okay, let's go over here to our chuck box.
All right.
So,
all right, they call this the chuck box or patrol box. This is the really cool thing. The first time I saw these things open, I thought, wow, that's amazing. Not so amazing now, but we'll dig into what these are for.
Here we've got our chuck box. If you don't know what a chuck box is, this is where you're going to have all your pots, your pans, your dishes, your utensils, and everything for washing. So go ahead and open this up here and show you what we got.
What he doesn't show is that when it's all folded up and the legs are taken off and it's thrown in the back of some scout leaders' pickup truck, and they pull it out and you just got everything that you need. Once you stand it up, you got your portable kitchen.
Got our frying pans down here, pots. See some of our utensils in here? I'm not going to drag everything out because there's a lot of stuff in here. Got a little bucket here, got our sponges, hot pot mitts. Keep a little bit of just basic cooking stuff in here, salt and pepper. We like Tabasco sauce in our
just a little bit.
So, got a menu left over from our last camping trip in here. So normally we would have these posted on the back of the chuck box along with our duty rosters, but we've got left in here. Got trash bags, of course. You need your trash bags because what are we doing? We're taking everything out with us that we bring in. So pretty simple setup. This is just a nice way to store everything. You got a nice flat surface here to work off of. This one's got some nice laminate on it, so you can work on it, easier to keep clean. The legs come off of the box here to store. Slide in this nice little compartment down here, so when this is taken apart, all you have is the one wood box, easy to store, easy to transport. Takes a couple of scouts to set it up, but it's pretty nice.
Yeah, actually, you usually have two sides to this too. So you have another side that folds down on the other behind here, and then you got two work surfaces to work on, or one side to wash dishes on, and one side to prep stuff on.
Okay, so over here we've got our cooking station set up. Got a nice little propane stove here. Got our lantern so when you get up to cook breakfast before daylight, so you can have breakfast ready for your patrol when they get out of bed. You can see. Also see the cookie cracker barrel at night. Works so nice on the propane tank here right next to the stove. We've got ours running off one of the large propane tanks, but you can also just hook up the small bottles to this and to this and move it around however you need it. Got our support box over here that's got just general stuff in it. Got our hammer in here for hammering in tent stakes. We've got a tarp in here just in case it rains and we need to cover stuff up. More trash bags. We've got a grill in there. Just general tools is what we store in that. just something to keep them out of the weather and keep everything organized.
Yeah, so like one of the reasons I want to show this was just if you're looking to set up kind of like a survival kit or a overnight pack or a bug out bag or whatever for prepper purposes, go and see what the scouts do because they don't usually forget anything, especially when you start getting into first aid kits, water purification kits, etc. They've thought through most of it for hundreds of years of scouting and camping.
So one thing we want to point out, you'll notice we've got our stove and our lantern set up out from underneath of our dining fly there, and that's so we don't generate a lot of heat coming up that can damage the fly. Doesn't smoke up everything under there when we're cooking. In general idea to have your flames and your heat sources out from underneath it. Now if it starts raining and we need to cook, we can move it into under the fly towards the center where it's a little bit higher. But generally you want to keep it set up outside to keep most of your heat and everything away from it. Now so people are walking around and they can't trip over the stove. Okay, so guys, this is our wood yard. Now I don't have any of my axes or saws or anything in here, but this is our wood yard we've got set up, and you'll notice we've got this nice bright rope around it here, so it's easy to see. You know what it is. One important thing to remember about the wood yard, only one person in the wood yard at a time. You don't want more than one person in here with axes swinging around or saws so you don't get hurt. So I got my chopping block set up down here. If I had my axe, it would be in the block or have with a piece of wood. Got a little stack of firewood over here I've been working on to cut up to use for our fire pit later on for our campfire this evening. So this, like I said, this is our wood yard. Normally we'd have tools stored in here, but we just didn't drag them out today.
Yeah, and like we covered in the last episode, scouts taught kids how to play with matches and make fires, and also learn how to use axes, hatchets, and saws and stuff. Because if you didn't have that, you didn't have fuel for your fire.
So this is our fire ring.
And a lot of it was safety.
You'll notice we set up our dining fly and our tents well away from our fire ring. Now it is close to our wood yard because that's where we're going to be prepping all of our firewood to go in it. But it's all far away from our tents and our dining fly, so we don't get ash or sparks or anything like that getting in there. Notice we got a nice ring of rocks around it here to keep everything contained. Got my shovel close by in case anything gets out. And I got my water jug just right over here underneath my dining fly. Still keeping them away from the fire, but still close enough if we have an emergency we can grab them and put anything out.
All right, and the last part of the model patrol campsite is going to be your tent space. Now, you want to make sure that you're far enough away from the area, especially your Scoutmaster's tent. A lot of times, Scoutmasters snore really loud, and it's really hard to sleep. But you also want to make sure that you're not set up under a tree that has a broken branch or a dead branch in the event the wind blows and that thing could fall on you. You don't want that to happen, right? That might hurt a little bit. But also, if you like to go to bed early, or if you're sleeping a little later, the cook's in the kitchen, maybe a little loud early morning, banging pots and pans around, or that Scoutmaster making his coffee at 5 a.m. So make sure that you set your tent far enough away, but also within the confines of the actual campsite, because remember, a campsite is found, not made.
All right, so that's that video. This thought you'd find it interesting. Just that's actually thoughtful purposes for everything that's done. And I thought we could look a little more into that chuck box thing. I thought because I thought it was so cool as a kid that you could contain everything, plan everything. These kids did a good job on it, so I thought I might as well show a little bit of it.
The patrol box.
Sorry, the audio's low.
Setting up your patrol box. You can do it with 2 people, but it's easiest with 3 people. So, when setting up your patrol box, first you gotta get it out of the trailer, and then you set it on the ground, and then you get out your poles, and then to set up the patrol box, you tip it on its side so you put the poles into these tubes, and then lock it in with these pins, and then do the same for the other side. And then these walls, or these counters, they fold up, they have a little lock, and you can also tie them for extra security on them. And you do that, glue them down on both sides, and then there's this hanging display of silverware,
Cool designs, right?
Rolled up and tied and stowed in this area here, or up there. And next, when you're setting up your camp stove, you don't want to set up on that side because that's where you have the paper towels. So you want to set up on this side, not right next to the patrol box, but maybe a foot or 2 away. That doesn't burn the wood.
And then you want to make sure you have all your utensils for when you use it. So then there's a picture of everything and where it's supposed to go in the exact spot. So it shows you where to have everything, where to stow it properly. And then you can also fold these up when you're done. And then
on the other side, we have a checklist of everything that's going to be in the patrol box, even the utensils, and if there's anything missing, they have to let the quartermaster know so they can put it on the list. And if it's not on the list, they can go around to see if any other patrol box has any extras that were not theirs. So on here. We have pots and pans. Pots you can use for like food, soup, anything like that. Then we have plates for hot food. You can just
I'll end it there, but I mean, what more do you need, right? I mean, it's all in there, and if it's all inventoried and managed, maintained, it's actually quite easy and quite simple, and it sets up nice predictable processes, especially for young people. And you'll notice in this case, like it's older kids teach the younger kids, and they know how it works. And after a few campouts, you've got it figured out. One more scouting thing that I'll show you here before we move on to something else is the one of the common things that you get to do at a scout camp is build stuff. In this case, it's just more of a kind of part of it. It's a slideshow, but is they're building a trebuchet. You can see it off to the right here, where everybody's gathered, and it's basically you can even find this in your scout manual on how to build a trebuchet with a tripod so that you can like swing and throw really big heavy things a long distance. They got a rope with what's called a firing pin on it, or a retaining pin. They set it all up. Someone pulls the rope, and then the weight drops, swings the log up, and then the rope on the end of the log swings and ejects the projectile. So the times we've done this, we're in big open fields where we actually would have two teams, one on each side, and we try to hit each other with apples or pine cones or whatever we could find. So there's a lot of stuff like that, where you're building rafts, or you're building forts, or you're building in the trees, or you're making hideouts, things like that. Just fun stuff. Get outside and lash together some logs and see what you can make. So, with that in mind, I want to introduce a channel. Again, I'll save all these videos, if more or less, if they're from YouTube, will be in the playlists. This one I think is a boys playlist or something like that. It's called. This one here. This channel is a bushcraft channel. I know there's lots of them, but I wanted to highlight this one specifically because he's from Canada, and he's for real. He really does this stuff for real. It's not just an urban guy zipping out for fun in the woods and bringing all the amenities with him, but he knows how to kind of live off the land, survivor type.
I thought, it's about time to do an overnight winter and build a shelter. You got to do certain things. You got to stay up off the ground. I've talked about that before. Going to look for a spot. I have one in mind. I'm going to do an overnight and hopefully catch a fish, but I'll tell you what, I'm bringing an axe, a knife, a saw, and a pot. And I'm going to bring a couple of stakes, because if I can't catch fish, then I at least want to enjoy this overnight adventure. But gotta go.
It's my edits here, by the way, just to make it shorter. So.
If I need the saw for this guy, I'm going to push it over. Should still be strong enough to hold me. Got this semi-dry spot to work with. I've got 4 poles now. I even found a piece of birch. This will be one of my cross members. I got a couple of pieces of birch out of this one that I found. I got enough for my main frame now, so I'll get started, hang this main frame, and then I need more poles. This is off the ground.
This is interesting, like that he hangs the end pieces just so he can get up off the ground, but that he can make those end pieces strong enough to hold the whole bed that he makes and his whole body weight. It's kind of impressive. It's amazing how all these ropes are, how strong they can be, even though they're pretty small.
Okay, because we might get heavy snow.
Looks like it's almost a paracord kind of thing.
At the ends, tie that to support these poles where my boughs are going to go. Another pole here. Okay.
So you might be wondering, why do I show this on a channel that's supposed to be about the future? Well, I'm really talking about the idea of having, skills that are helpful for you no matter what scenario you're in the future, and that the simple things in life like shelter, food, camping, etc. are all within your reach. With a little bit of skill and experience, reading some books and going out with friends is well worth the effort. So I encourage everybody to do that.
Don't skimp on gear when you're out doing these things. That's my advice. But I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to get a fire going just to dry things out, because everything's soaked now. Bark with the ferro rod. Now, right against the real base of this tree seem to have stayed dry. I need lots of little twigs for when I do get ignition. I get a lot of that. Find some firewood then. Find some
Trying to hold the
firewood.
camera at the same time.
Very difficult to find dry stuff. Maybe at the base of this big ponderosa, but no, this all feels damp too. Got some bits of sap on this little tree. I didn't bring the knife, but I'll try to collect some into my pile. Scrape some off.
Anyway, he
in
starts a
there.
fire. You get the idea.
I still got daylight. And it shouldn't take much now. I've got my poles. I got to get more boughs. I did get a few, but not enough. Just let the fire burn and collect some boughs right handy here. I'm not going to make the fire too big because it's getting a little windy. But we got Finn over here.
Oh, one thing I didn't include in that clip was him starting the fire and using birch bark is like the master fire builder tool. So if you're ever out and there's birch bark around, always use it.
To keep the snow off. I got this support branch here, so I don't need a pole here. My other end is done. Back. I need to slide my boughs up in here, and that's all you need. You know, something to keep in mind is like your branches grow this way. You put them upside down when you build a shelter, and it creates a dome shape. You don't put them this way. It makes it hard to build a proper shelter. The shelter is
There's
done.
another minute or so here.
Showing you from the inside.
No, or seconds or
Back.
so.
I didn't go.
Anyway, that's Oven's bushcraft or outdoor bushcraft. Check it out. All right, I want to shift gears a little bit to kind of finish off our scouting and military, etc. stuff, and give you a quick few clips of a tour of a Army surplus
we are back
store.
at the most legendary military surplus store in the whole United States of America. My favorite, Omaha's Military Surplus, downtown Fort Worth.
I don't know, like if any of you have been there before or in the area, it'd be interesting to check it out and send me some videos of what you liked that was on the floor. I just took a few clips and there was music, so I had to kind of cut it out. But what I find interesting about this one is the vehicles, because you don't often see a lot of vehicles. There's a couple good ones online though that do show off their nice array of vehicles. I'm really like the vehicles and radios and stuff like that. The store, for those of you that haven't been in a surplus store, is a pretty. The stuff outside here is not really common, but the stuff inside is pretty common, as you'll see. I mean, not many places have huge helicopter or airplane props or sea rafts and stuff like that. These big things don't often get maintained or kept around, but you do get into clothing and camp type gear pretty easily in almost every Army surplus store. This one they call an Army Navy store. Could be military surplus. There'll be jackets from different armies around the world, so you can kind of get a matching outfit that matches whatever Army or Navy or Air Force or whatever you want to look like, which can be fun for hunting and camping, but also great for like airsoft and things like that. So you can be on a specific team fighting against another team. So a typical store, you guys that have been in them will know the smell that hits you when you come in. You know it's an authentic military surplus store. There's other smells that you hit sometimes where you're just like, oh, it's all Chinese stuff, but in these ones you can tell it's real American or Russian or German stuff. But you can get hats with different camo patterns and things like that. There's a lot of new stuff, but then there's a lot of surplus used military stuff. And a few ads added in, of course. And there's usually the one thing that I find, I'll just go back real quick. One thing I find too is often the owners of the store will have certain displayed items that are kind of special or precious to them. Well, maybe this isn't a good example, but you often have a little display area that shows off like, their favorites or their special items that they've gathered. All right, and then the final video here is going to be just more of interest to give you something different to look at that you haven't seen before, probably. Something I wanted to do since I was young was build one of these. All right, so don't need to hear the music that's in there. But the these hovercraft racing teams, these little units, like there's legit categories of hovercrafts for racing. These ones, if I recall, have a 25 horsepower. It's either 25 or 48 horsepower motor on them on the front. You'll see that it's pointing straight down, and that's that provides all the lift that goes, all the air that goes into the apron around the bottom. And then there's one on the back that blows straight back. That's obviously the fan for propelling them forward. But look at these, how kind of beautifully delicate they seem to be as they bounce around. Change of terrain isn't as extreme as you would think. Anyway, there's leagues for these, and there are models too where it's like one engine, and there's just a different kind of ducting system for like kind of junior racers. These aren't junior ones, these are adults. But yeah, you can make these yourself. It's basically a sheet of plywood with rubber strips along the bottom to make that apron, with each little tube on there on the side is just goes down and then expels air underneath and towards the middle a little bit. And then the rest is just motors to push forward and motors to push air down. Well, I promised that max headroom clip from the last show that I'd find you a better one that highlighted him a little more clearly. So it was always some kind of crime going on that they'd figure out. And Max would move from machine to machine. It was the first introduction of like virtual reality.
Zigzag sponsored a Get Fit Week here on Network.
But it's a dude in a mask
they should
with makeup.
organize a series of 1-minute breaks when they show nothing in particular. Let's try it now. Visitors. All it does is distort their face so much you can't recognize it
Anyway, he would ramble on and on. I thought it was always funny. So maybe we'll watch some other stuff. But that wraps up kind of the military, Boy Scouts. Introduced a couple new ideas. Maybe we'll look more into vehicles, more into technology and things like that as they evolved. So we're up here close to half an hour. I should probably wrap it up and get this out. Thanks. I need some more subscriptions. Please hit likes. Please leave comments. Love to know what parts you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of. And as usual, we're just getting started. So any support you can throw by me, appreciate it. Oh, I almost forgot. If you go to the web page, I've actually got a bunch more resources for you. If you go to the actual channel page, which is a little hard to see on here, you can look at videos or you can look at playlists. So, I mean, you'll land here normally, and you can go to playlists, and you'll see I've actually got a couple different playlists here for you. The thumbnail on them just isn't really relevant because it just shows the first video's thumbnail. But, you know, in one of those episodes, I covered a bunch of the military commercials. There's even more in here than we actually covered. But you can see the source for everything. I'm trying to make it so the original poster can get some clickbacks from you guys. But this one for boys culture is really a good one as well. You can get some even more stuff about that we're going to dig into, probably just give you an idea of where we're going, but all the scout videos are in there. All right, so you can you know, dig into there, and maybe you know, if there's interest, leave in the comment having like a Patreon version or some other a membership stream or something like that, where we just watch more of these long form ones together, or maybe in a live stream together before I do a recording mix down. You know, let me know what you think.